happy hump day, and thank you for tuning in to an all-new episode of Stop Faking It with me, your host, Emily Bracy. Before I get straight into today's episode, I just wanted to remind everyone of a few things. For one, please subscribe to my podcast. So if you're listening to it on whatever platform, most likely Apple or Spotify, just make sure you press subscribe. And if you have a minute, leave a 5-star review. I don't do ads for my podcast. It makes the listening experience a little better. But yeah, so that would mean a lot to me if you could do it. Also, I haven't shouted out my brother Ben in a while here. Ben, his music name I don't know if I call it music name, but his Instagram and his band name goes by Hold My Headache. So he does my intro music. He did an amazing job. Love it. But yeah, make sure you follow him on Instagram, Hold My Headache. And then you can also find his music on Spotify. And as always, I will put it in the episode description. So you can just click those links. So okay, for my weekly listeners, now I have been pretty MIA the past couple weeks, on and off, with obviously haven't had an episode out in a few weeks, haven't really been posting as much on Instagram. You guys, March was so rough. I'm surprised I am alive, honestly. That fucker literally took me out. And that was pre-Mercury and Retrograde. So I guess that was just getting me ready for this month with the eclipse and everything. I'm feeling a lot better physically, health-wise, a tiny bit better mentally. And I'm being honest about that because, from happiness to orgasms, we don't fake anything here. I have everyone's fan favorite with me today, though, my husband, Roger.
Hey, yo.
What's up, homie?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, you were obviously with me for all this with March nearly wiping me out. I'm happy I had a couple episodes pre-recorded, though, because I couldn't breathe for over 2 weeks.
Still can't. That pollen is killing me.
You're still pretty bad. But I ended up getting a cold, then the flu, then a sinus infection. And I really blame the pollen. And it's bad everywhere, but it's real bad in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I was listening recently. I was on Alina Davies' podcast, and she was on earlier in the season, my season. I was so nasally during that. I was feeling physically fine. I just couldn't breathe out of my nostrils. And I listened back to it, and I was like, oh my God, I sound like I sounded pre-nose job. And it wasn't great.
Not good?
Not good. Not good at all. But whatever. We're going through it. The allergies hopefully will calm down soon. But yeah, I woke up April 1st, honestly, feeling a lot better, which was right when Mercury went into retrograde. Like I said, physically felt better. But then the universe just decided to add some spice to my bipolar disorder.
It's always fun.
Oh, is it fun for you?
Gotta mix it up a little bit,
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah, you gotta set those highs and lows for everybody to enjoy the experience.
Exactly. That's how I feel for everybody. Keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have been pretty mentally unwell the past week. I know, something with mental illness, I feel like, and growing and learning about yourself is realizing your triggers to whether that turns into a depressive episode, a manic episode, or a mixed episode. For me, those are things I experience with bipolar disorder. And one of my triggers is always big change, even if it's a good thing. But change can be super overwhelming for people. And like I've said in a few past episodes, Roger and I recently moved, and obviously we knew it was happening, so I was able to kind of prep myself, made it as easy as possible. I was lucky enough my parents came down to help us with it, and especially being sick, I felt pretty useless.
Mm-hmm.
I was on my hands and knees cleaning her old place, dying with a fever
for no reason too.
For no reason, yeah.
So sad.
Fuck that landlord. Anyway. But no, I don't bring this up because I want anyone to ever be think I'm oh, feel bad for me, I have this. But I know someone else out there is going through this, and I know talking about it and talking about our mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever, it needs to be normalized. So in true Emily form, I won't shut up.
Mm-hmm. Doing what you're doing best at.
Exactly. And speaking of not shutting up, random, now that I'm feeling better, I was thinking, because obviously, like I said, I was sick last month. I started doing, like I've brought up in the past, started doing open mic nights around Tampa because I want to get more into stand-up comedy. I love it. I've wanted to do it for so long now. And I'm having so much fun with it, but I couldn't do it throughout all of March. And when I started getting sick, like towards the end of February, because what are they going to do? They're going to be like, all the comics got wiped out because they shared this nasty girl's microphone.
Yeah, honestly.
But it's like...
Doing everybody a favor.
Yeah.
You gotta respect other people, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was like, I'd really like to do it. Could you imagine if I was up there just hacking away?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just put the mic in your mouth.
Exactly. Just go up there and lick it, as I just thought. Oh my god. But yeah, we just had the eclipse a few days ago. And yesterday, well, we're recording today, yesterday.
Sure, we can tell them anything they want.
Yeah, it's true. We recorded this in 2021, actually.
Right.
2019, it was a much simpler time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even the past few days, you noticed a shift in me. Like, you legit looked at me last night and were like, you look sad. And then I lied and I was like, no. And like, in my head, I'm like, just tell me you're sad. But I think for me, it's always recognizing that I don't want to be honest with myself. And then, I said I was fine. But then this morning, I had my mental breakdown, but we got to talk and I cried it out. And I feel so much better now, to the point where I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go another week without putting up an episode. Because that's one thing I made I said to myself starting season 2, if I don't feel up to putting out an episode, I'm not going to do it. Like I said, I don't do ads. Like, part of the reason, obviously, is my consistency. I don't have to do it. I love putting out episodes. I love hearing the feedback that people love episodes and love the podcast, love the guests. But being selfish and putting my mental health first is something I really tried to stick to this season. And I mean, taking those 2 weeks off was hard to do at first, but at first I was like, oh, I'm just gonna take 1 week off. And I was like, no, do 2. You're just feeling better. I hadn't sewed in a month and I just needed to start feeling like me again. And I'm glad I took those weeks off.
Good for you. Gotta do it. Gotta not feel the pressure.
Yeah. It's just weird though too, because it's we've been together for 6 years. We know everything about each other.
6 years?
Your longest relationship before me was 6 days.
Yeah, pretty close. Wow. Who knew?
I know. We said our dog turned 5 last month, and he's like, Roger goes, I can't believe that we've been together long enough to have a dog that's 5 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you...
It's wild to me.
Way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean,
Oscar, stop growing.
Furry son.
But yeah, like I said, we've been together 6 years, and we know everything about each other. And my brain was still telling me don't bring it up to him. Just keep it to yourself. Try to figure it out. And I don't know. It's so weird that stuff's always gone through my head. Even with my own parents, that I'm really lucky that I do have a relationship with my parents where I can bring hard things up and scary things up and anything up, honestly. But there's just always something in my head. I guess the bipolar disorder. You know what it is.
It's diagnosed, yeah.
It's diagnosed. But I talk about this sometimes at my the support groups I go to for bipolar disorder and anxiety and depression. And it's a super common thing. And something I heard recently, and it's not even anything crazy, a new study. It was just basically when you're having those thoughts, just start, and I sound so stupid as I say it, just start thinking differently. But it's true. Yeah. And it's hard. It's so hard. To tell myself, for some reason, okay, no, you're worth feeling better. Bring it up. What the fuck? What do I think you're going to do? Be like, oh, you're sad? I'm leaving you and taking the dog. You're not going to do that.
I got news for you. It shows through.
My dog.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, that too. Yeah. No, I mean, I could tell. I've been aware that something's been going on.
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, okay.
We are getting there. But the more I talk about mental health, especially on Instagram, and I was just talking about Elena Davies, who's a huge mental health advocate and has been super inspiring to me about never shutting up about how we feel. But it's true, because the more DMs I get, and it's not just from people struggling with anxiety and depression, whatever their demons or whatever it may be. I also get messages from people's parents, their siblings, their friends, their partners about like, hey, how can I support this person in my life going through this? And I absolutely love it. Those are people, I'm so bad with my DMs, but those are people I always try to respond to, even if it's just like a copy and paste situation of something I already said to someone else. But it just, I don't want people to feel alone. And I don't want people to be like, I don't know if scared's the right word, but like scared of people with mental illnesses. Like I always grew up with like my mom telling me like everyone's body is different. Like there's so much going on in your body and your brain. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong. And it's like, I wouldn't be like self-conscious to say like, oh, like I have a thyroid disorder, which I do. And like, I'll tell people that, but and actually saying this now is reminding me that this was a big topic in my support group last week, was being open and honest with people in your life who had been there for a while, even like new friends. And it was funny because like, I think it was like pretty much half the people in the group were saying how they don't like telling people like, hey, I have bipolar disorder or I have anxiety or I have depression. And I could not relate, one, because I don't shut up. And my circle of people is so supportive, and a lot of my circle is mentally ill. So we just talk about it so naturally. And like, I've done it before, and I've like brought it up. I've just said it in conversations with your strangers, like, oh yeah, well, my bipolar disorder. They just look at me like I said, like I murdered a village or something. I don't know, I kicked a dog. And like, I forget it's like not
everybody.
There's a stigma.
Yeah.
There's a stigma.
Yeah, I guess so.
And a big thing that someone brought up in the group, in my support group, was that, well, they show these usually like celebrities or like in like Roger and I listen to a lot of murder podcasts, and I like to play guess the mental illness. Because sometimes, a lot of times it's bipolar. But you hear those stigmas. And then like we were talking about like I'm not positive. Someone said Britney Spears had bipolar disorder. I'm not sure. I'm not like just trying to put that out there. If she doesn't. But she does struggle for mental illness. So like people see that and they're like, oh, mental illness is crazy. Or Kanye, there's an example. Yeah. And like they're like, oh my, I don't want to be around someone with bipolar disorder if that's how they're gonna act. Well, celebrities are on such a fucking different level. Like, if almost everyone in the world knew who I was, if I had an unlimited amount of money, yeah, I would probably think I was king of the world. Especially if I refused to take my medication.
Well, I mean, I think too, like the most like, I don't know if interesting is the right word, but like the most the most headline, the most catchy things are when people are like doing wild shit. Yeah. You don't like see somebody walking down the street acting like a normal person and go, they're bipolar. Yeah. You wait for them to like swing one way or the other, and you're like, that's what bipolar is. And it's not. It's everything. It's all together.
And it's funny that you say that too, because that's what one of the people in my support group said. She goes, could you imagine if someone watched my life and like I was on a reality show? They'd get so bored. They'd be like, oh, look, she's sweeping. Yeah. Oh, look, she's taking a nap. Oh, she's walking her dog. Oh, and like this specific person, like they haven't had an episode in like, I think she said like 10 years or something. And the day I met her, I was like, that is so inspiring, because I didn't know that was possible because of all the false like information out there. Because the media talks about people like Kanye West and I don't know, other people.
Yes.
Other people.
There's other people, I'm sure.
I know. Yeah. Don't want to speak of it all. But even, okay, here we go. Another one. Demi Lovato. Everyone always like.
Is he talking to aliens again?
And you know what? I know people who want to talk to aliens who aren't bipolar.
That's true.
I think that's its own mental. I was kidding.
I'm open to it. See what happens.
I want to talk to aliens. So yeah, like I was saying, I get messages from people who do not have mental illness that are like you, who somehow raw dog through life unmedicated and are somewhat the stable one.
Relatively.
But, you know, the bar's not set high when you're sitting next to me.
Yeah. I just completely disconnected from reality.
They're like, They're like, wow, Roger has his life together. And then because they see me in like the backyard topless dancing with disco balls.
Yeah.
No, I can't dance in this backyard topless because everyone has 2 floors to their house so people can see. Ugh, hate this HOA. Anyway. To think this.
We need 2-story walls around our house.
We need to build that wall. Okay, we're gonna stop. We're gonna quit before we're
gonna get canceled.
We're gonna get canceled. But would you mind, Roger? I would love to ask you some questions about mental health and how insane. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, is that cool with you?
Sure. I'll answer as a professional.
Do I have your consent?
Yes.
Answers as a professional. He puts a stethoscope and glasses on. Where'd you get that stethoscope?
I'm ready. Always ready.
Always ready. Ready for my exam, doctor. Okay. So yeah. But also I wanted to say that if I were to ask you, I feel like these same questions, like if we could go back in time from when like we started dating in like 2018, if I asked you these same questions every year, I feel like your answers would be different every year.
I think that's important. I mean, if I answered the same way I answered in my early 20s, we probably wouldn't be together.
No, but I was talking more about myself.
Okay.
I fortunately, I haven't been in a true manic episode now since summer 2022. Yeah, like spring, summer. And you're looking at me like, really?
It could be.
Yeah. He's like, really?
Really? Yeah. Wow, time flies.
Yeah. Wow, time flies when you take your medication. But no, and also like I'm just being more honest with myself and I guess growing as an individual. But that's what I mean. Like I look back like 6 years where I also don't drink. I feel like that's a huge part of it. And honestly, the mental stability that not drinking gives me, I feel like I'll never drink again. I used to like run away with like bare feet. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
I would
in Orlando.
Yeah.
You ran away a couple times.
Yeah, like no shoes on.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're mentally ill, maybe check your relationship with alcohol. Okay, let's go into these questions. So like you were saying, do you notice like pretty early on when I start going into depressive episodes?
I mean, it'd be hard to tell like when, because I don't know, like you don't talk about it for like how long is it that you don't talk about it? I mean, I noticed well before you say something, probably weeks or so, but I don't know.
What are like the signs?
I don't know. I mean, you get like, I don't know.
You're trying to
like,
get mean.
Without being offensive.
I get short with you.
You get short with me for sure.
Yeah. My cycle.
Yeah.
2 days before.
Sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough because sometimes I'll be like, wow, I like, usually the first thing that makes me notice that maybe something's going on with you is I notice for a couple days, I'm thinking to myself, wow, am I actually being a dick to her? Like, because I feel like I'm doing something wrong, and it'll go on for a couple days, and I'm like trying to analyze what's going on, and I'm like, maybe it's not me, which, maybe not the best thing, but like, sometimes like I'm like, okay, something's going on, and then I start trying to like think like what could be going on with you that might have triggered you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do, like I said, assume it's me at first. But after, like, there's a certain amount of time, I'm like, no, it can't be me every day this week. There's no way.
A new picture in one of our 800 picture frames and I didn't notice.
Yeah.
She's mad I haven't brought it up.
But then I'm like,
slightly change her nail color and I didn't say anything.
And then I'm like, if that's the case, she shouldn't be mad at me for a week, right? Like, there's a time where it should stop and it should be back to normal. So yeah, I mean, you do get short with me.
It is funny too, because in my head, I feel like I'm like so like he doesn't notice anything. Like, I am fine.
All fine.
When that starts happening, like, what do you do to try to be a supportive partner to me while also being like, I'm not saying being gentle with me, like I'm like, oh, I need you to be gentle with me, but I feel like with anyone with like mental illness, it is a tough subject. Like I've had people in the past just like flat out say things that really, really hurt me, even if that wasn't the intent. And I mean, you've never said anything that did.
No, I mean, I try to not take things personally. I think that's the main thing. Like, if, I don't know, like and I try not to act like you're doing this to hurt me or like something like that, you know, like it just try and be like, okay, like I'm just trying to have a conversation, try and see what's going on. Maybe I'll like, I don't know, like poke the bear a little bit, like kind of like try some things out and see what triggers you more than other, and kind of like get down to the root of what's going on. Because a lot of times it is like, you know, a lot of times it is you're just you're fixating on something, and you're not really talking about it. And I mean, it's also too, you're like, I mean, that's another thing too, is you're kind of like disconnected because you're like focusing on this thing that you're focusing on.
That is true. Yeah, kind of like yesterday when you like looked at me and you're just like, "Are you sad?" And I was like, "No." Mm-hmm. And it was because I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Thinking about life.
You're just thinking. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of, I mean, it's different. I'm sure it's different for everybody.
Yeah,
and I couldn't even begin to speak on how to interact with other people. But I mean, for you, it works to just kind of try and get you to talk about it. I mean, you have to talk about it on your own terms. I can't just like, even if I figure out what it is, I can't just be like, hey, let's talk about this right now. I have to get you to a point where you're like, okay, I feel like I'll open up.
I have gotten better of opening up quicker. Mm-hmm. I feel like even there were like a few times like years ago where and I've always said this, that like verbalizing things for me, it makes things more reality. I mean, as it does for everyone, but I would literally text you things.
Yeah.
And even if you were in the house with me.
Yeah.
I couldn't get myself to like actually verbalize stuff. And I feel like that is a start. And
yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. I mean, whatever form of communication makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also, when it happens, I am a crier, obviously.
Yeah.
And like I just cry. I cry when I get tired too. Like and I hate it. So I'm like, oh, if I just text it, or if I don't talk about it.
I am bad about when you're like at night, if you're like awake, stressed out. Because like if you're awake after me, that's another sign that something's not good. Well, but for me, I hit like this certain point where I'm like, I am not in a state where I can talk. Like I'm tired and I'm going to sleep. Like I have a pretty set schedule, and like there's pretty rare occasions where I'll stay up late. And if I've already like started the descent into sleepy time, it's like it's over. Like you're just gonna have to wait till morning.
You know what's funny about you saying that is that I heard someone say like, which it's like a common thing people say, like never go to bed angry.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, whoever said that was not mentally ill. Because like, not that it's angry, but it's very unrealistic because like some people can't process things, and like you said too, like you're getting tired. But again, this isn't like you and I having problems with each other. It's just like I'm unwell. But it's like
it's just you. It's not me.
I'm unwell. Yeah. It's me. The problem is me. But yeah, I heard that, and I was like, that person's not mentally ill. That's good for them.
Yeah, I don't know though. I've always felt like too, like if I have something that's on my mind and really stressing me out, I will tend to give myself like 24 hours to like see how I feel.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I don't know, like instead of being like explosively angry right away or like something like that, you're like, are you overreacting? Maybe you should sleep on it and see how you feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's bad because sometimes maybe you put off things that are important, but I think a lot of times that sometimes you feel like you need to say things that you don't need to say.
Yeah.
Or you don't even care that much about by the time you think about it next.
It's true. Yeah. If you could say, like, if someone just asked like some blatant advice about supporting someone they love in their life with mental illness, like what would you tell them?
I mean, just be there. Like, I don't know, just take the time to understand what it is. I mean, what goes on, you know? I mean, people will struggle, and you know, they don't understand why they feel the way they do always. And I mean, the number one thing you can do, whether you know them or not, is just be there. Like, just, I don't know, listen. I mean, you also have to set boundaries too. You can't let somebody who has mental illness like constantly make you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's not your fault or their fault, but I mean, you have to set boundaries so people know, like, they can't treat you that way also. Mm-hmm. But
anyone in your life treating you bad.
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel like too sometimes there's like a disconnect. Like I was saying before, I wouldn't even realize that I was being like short with you and stuff. But I think it's because I'm so hyper focused on whatever is causing me anxiety. And it's funny, like I say anxiety, and we were just talking about this yesterday, or I don't even know, it was today, we was on our walk, that there's almost like there should be like a spectrum or a scale of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, sometimes walking into Target on a Saturday gives me anxiety, right? But I can walk through Target. I'll be okay. Like, I'll probably complain about it and like, I don't know, not feel comfy, but that's fine. Like, it's a livable thing. Like, and then I'll do it and I'll be like, yo, I did that. Good for me. Mm-hmm. But then there's also anxiety that leaves me researching the nearest bridge to jump off of. And so it's hard.
A little more extreme, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, they're like that jump out of your skin, like chest pain, can't breathe, even like panic attacks. And so it is hard because it's like, oh, I have anxiety and I don't realize when I'm short with you and stuff. And then some people who fortunately haven't experienced that terrible version I was talking about, that very dark space. First of all, that's amazing. I hope you never do. But I think there's so many, like, almost, I don't know, forms of it, but definitely degrees.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that's kind of hard to quantify too, because it's like, I mean,
everyone's different.
Going into Target might be crippling, like jump off a bridge anxiety for somebody. Yeah. Where, I mean, it might be somebody's like
so fine doing stand up.
Yeah, right.
Like, I love it.
I think I'd rather jump off a bridge.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's funny too because I would rather do stand up than go to a Target on a Saturday.
That's not even comparable.
No, it's so.
You know what? And some people enjoy going to Target on a Saturday.
They do. I do love people watching, but not while I'm also walking. I need to be like at a Starbucks and like sitting in like that side of Target and watching people. Okay. But yeah, so I was so annoyed when I started feeling like so heavy and everything yesterday because it was so like, what was the word of the day? We were talking about kismet. It was so perfect. Because everyone knows I'm a crystal astrology girly. And I was like, I would get hit with this fucking anxiety-ridden depression train on the motherfucking eclipse during an Aries new moon while Mercury's in retrograde.
Sure thing.
And I'm like it makes sense if that's your thing. And it's my thing. So it made sense. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, it was, I don't know. The timing was not perfect. It made sense, but it was not perfect. But now we're going into the section of the podcast that I go into sometimes where now it's an astrology podcast.
No.
Past couple of interviews, a lot of them have turned into, what's your sign? What's your sign? Oh, this, that. So, a lot of people hear about Mercury being in retrograde, but like, what does that mean, Roger? Unprepared.
It means that it's traveling away from the Earth.
Okay, so yeah, kind of. It gives the illusion that the planet is going backwards.
Right.
So that in an astrology standpoint, and again, I'm not an astrologer. I'm not a professional. This is like a hobby. But anyway, it makes us feel like we're not headed in the right direction. All planets pretty much can go into retrograde. But Mercury is like that motherfucker that fucks the most shit up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it happens all the time. Well, yeah, it's because it's the eclipse. Yeah. Everyone's like, it's a once in a lifetime. No, it's not. It's not a once in a lifetime. No.
Did you see? I sent you like a visual of it the other day.
No.
Yeah.
A real?
Yeah.
I haven't checked my DMs.
Yeah, you have to check it out.
Okay.
It's very helpful.
Okay, cool. I'm excited.
But yeah, I mean, Mercury's in retrograde a lot.
Yeah, 4 times a year. I think it lasts 20-something days. Because this year I think it's April 1st to the 24th, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically the planet looks like it's going in reverse, and it causes mass chaos. So with Mercury, this typically, you might notice like a change in like technology. Like it's not like right before we were recording, how much problems were we having hooking up the mics?
It was pretty crazy.
It did not work. No, the amount my phone hasn't been working. My mom was just saying like at work the lights kept flickering and everything. We're gonna get into some other stuff too, but just pay attention to technology and thing. People, I feel like people are just on fucking edge. I was at a grocery store. I was at Sprouts on Monday at 11 a.m. Can you think of any more happiness than being at an organic like market? No. Everyone was like on edge. I came home like that the town was getting burnt down. I was like, everyone is scary. I never want to leave this house again. Probably what triggered my episode, honestly.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And then I saw a couple Tesla trucks, and I'm like, is the world ending? Because I forget those are a thing. And they look like they're out of a fucking apocalypse movie, but they do look pretty fucking cool. I gotta say that.
They're definitely growing on me. At first, I was like, no. But now I'm like, I get it. I can see it.
The setup's pretty cool. How you can like set up like a tent in the back and everything.
That's what sells you on it?
Honestly.
Perfect.
Well, maybe they are bulletproof now. Not that like I need that. But anyway, so yeah, technology, communication. Communicating with other people. I always try to like, especially if there's like, I don't know, things with work, business decisions and all that. Communication. Don't try to get your points across with people. Not just you, Roger. I'm not just talking to you. Because
I have so many good points, though.
I have so many good points. Like, no one's going to listen. Like, with Mercury in retrograde, communication reminds me of, like, communication during, like, political events and, like, elections. Where if you're trying to, like, prove your point to someone, the other person's not listening. They're just replaying in their head what they're going to say to double down on what they already said. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So there's no point. If someone's like going at you, just let it be. Just let it be. It's fine. We're on a floating rock through space. We're a speck of dust. You'll be fine. I promise. What else? Oh, clumsiness. I feel like they're like less aware, so they're more clumsy, and also they're probably more aggravated. Also, if you have single friends or you're single, or maybe you've not, maybe you're with someone, I feel like Mercury in retrograde is always a time where like exes reach out to people or just like people from their past that aren't good for what's to come. So be aware. Don't answer that text. He's not worth it. There's better dick out there. Don't forget it, Roger.
Got it.
Got it. He will break your heart again.
Aww,
but I know it's like, oh my God, it was 20 days. Why is it this many days are going to suck? They're not. Because you can also, Mercury's in retrograde. It's also a good time, because everything has a silver lining. It allows you to kind of like dig deeper in what you can do better. Like you were saying, like, oh, you can't have the highs without the lows. It's kind of like that. And then, we're in this, like, so we just had that solar eclipse, and that kind of even pushes it faster. So you're kind of like, you're getting that shit faster. Maybe should I have an astrology podcast?
I don't know. It might just turn into that.
But yeah, it kind of like nearly catapults you towards your new path. And typically it's hard to get there. Like shit's gonna go wrong, and that's fine. Everyone's human. You'll get through it, I promise. But yeah, so eclipses, they tend to like initiate change also, and it's not just like right when it happened. Like everyone's like, oh, the eclipse, and then it's over. No, your things are gonna keep changing. People are gonna keep like shit's gonna get brought up for the next like 3 to 4 months at least. And like, no, you're not even gonna realize it when you're like getting to these like big points in your life or this new goal or whatever it may be. And you might look back like this time next year, just, like, oh, like what was I doing this time last year? And be like, holy shit, like all that did change post the eclipse. And if people can believe in like Bitcoin and stuff like that, they can believe in astrology. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Perfect.
No, honestly though, that eclipse was pretty cool.
It was.
And I mean, we were in Florida, so it wasn't anything like a solar, like, total eclipse.
The totality.
No totality. I know, they kept saying totality. Like, literally, if I was still an active alcoholic, I would have taken a shot every time that person on the news said totality, or every time that grown man cried. It was honestly beautiful.
You wouldn't have made it to the eclipse.
I wouldn't have. But no, what was really cool is that, like, I have disco balls, like, all around the house because I'm, like, 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And also, I still don't understand why people stop putting disco balls in their house. Like, it blows my mind. But all of a sudden, and I remembered this happened. Like, I literally told people when this happened in 2017, like, oh, the disco balls, it, like, reflects it, and it leaves little moons everywhere. And it was so cool. And I brought the disco ball outside. And it was really cool, wasn't it?
It is.
There were little moons everywhere.
Yeah.
It was sick.
Disco moon.
But then our hometown had the totality. And, like, it's a town of what? Like, not even 30,000 people, probably like 20 now.
Yeah.
20,000.
Yeah, after.
Here's a fact. I have done the math. There are more dead people in our hometown than living people. You're welcome.
Wow, so much math.
So much math. So look up the cemetery stats. Not very hard. But yeah, anyway, so this is going somewhere. So, like, 100,000 people at least went to our, like, hometown, like the county and stuff like that, for this event. And that's just crazy to me. I think Niagara Falls, which is only like a couple hours from us, if that, had over 1 million people.
That's so crazy.
Like 1 million visitors. They were in a state of emergency.
They would have to be.
That's insane. Especially because it goes fucking pitch black all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But yeah, my parents and his parents saw it. They said it was really cool. It was like, it got really cold. Speaking of it being really cold during it, I saw this article on Fox News.
Perfect.
Because you know how much I read Fox News.
Yeah,
I don't,
daily.
I don't even know how that one popped up. But it said 8 things, or maybe it was 8, I don't know, but it was like some amount of things that might happen during the eclipse. And I read it. And I was like, it'd be like saying something that happens when you rip a piece of paper in half. There are 2 pieces now. Like, that's like literally what the article was. Like, one of the ones I could, like, give it, like, oh, animals might act differently. Well, of course, they don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's dark.
In the middle of the day for them.
Of course,
well,
like,
everybody.
People who maybe are, like, off the grid might be like, hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
So this is supposed to be happening?
And then another one was, it could get cooler out.
Is that what happens?
It's like, yeah.
When it's dark?
Could. No, it's going to.
Yeah.
Like, whoever wrote this, like, I don't know if their boss is, like, mean or something, but they did not want to be wrong. They're like, so I'm just going to write maybe. I'm trying to think of other ones. It might get a little windy. It was just, like, very obvious things.
Meteorologists.
I know. I want that job. I want to be a meteorologist or a gym teacher in my next life.
Yeah.
Or a butterfly.
Okay. Well, you gotta shoot for the stars.
Or the chrysalis.
I think that's part of a butterfly, right?
Yeah, so I'm shooting for it.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
But yeah, so anyway, back to not our hometown and the eclipse and everything. Things tend to get brought up during, like, retrograde, and especially the eclipse, like I was saying, kind of catapulting it. And there was a new moon yesterday in frickin' Aries. Wild.
Well, it has to be new, right? If the sun's behind it. Isn't that how that works?
I mean, the moon's still moon. It doesn't disappear. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But the light's on the back of the moon.
Okay. I was like, what?
It's like, what are you talking about?
The moon is made of cheese.
Oh, Wallace and Gromit were right.
They were. We should watch that again. I want to watch Chicken Run.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Solid film.
You said there was a second one, right?
Apparently. I think it's either maybe coming out. Now I'm confused. Don't put me on the spot.
I also didn't know. Was it Mel Gibson voices the rooster?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so. That could be too.
Yeah, it could be just making stuff up.
Podcast of Lies, brought to you by Emily's Imagination. We also call it Delusion. But yeah, so during, like, retrograde stuff, things get, like, brought up. Things go haywire. So I think it was pre-retrograde when the Baltimore Bridge, when the cargo ship crashed into it. Mm-hmm. But did you know that almost happened again in New York City recently? Did I tell you? I can't
You
remember.
did tell me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I know you told me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for all you don't know, and it was weird because I don't think, I haven't double checked on it, but it didn't really hit the mainstream news. You know, I learned from Twitter University, which also Twitter's gotten, okay, X, whatever. I refuse to call it X. It sounds like a weird porn app. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It's like being named Kyle and drinking, what are those called?
Monsters?
Monsters. It's just like,
It
do
gives
better.
off the vibe.
Yeah. But anyway, I was on Twitter, and within like, I don't know, 2 minutes, I saw a video, a lot of porn. There was a lot of porn.
Is that what Twitter's about?
I guess. I haven't been on it in months. I saw a video of a lady getting hit by a city bus in New York City, and her intestines getting dragged. She died.
I would think.
Yeah, she was gone. God bless her soul. Also, yeah, didn't watch the whole thing, just kind of figured out what happened through the first second, and then I was like, I'm done with the trauma. What else did I see? Physical fights. And then that article about that woman who got arrested for fucking her Great Dane.
Oh, yeah.
Her dog. And then the last sentence of this article was, oh, and her husband's a pedophile.
Yeah.
I was like, time to get off the internet today.
Not today.
So yeah, I mean, that's all shit that happened in the past, I don't know, week. But so yeah, the New York City bridge, back to that. It's literally the same thing kind of happened where it was a mayday, it was near a bridge. Luckily, they were able to anchor it down toward shore. So that was good. But also, the P Diddler. P Diddy. All of that is coming to light. It's wild.
Yeah, it's wild.
I'm just waiting for, I don't know. I heard there was almost like a mayday call to, speaking of the ships, there was a mayday call to like other people involved, like, yo, watch out. Because like, was it 50 Cent who said that like the feds aren't gonna go towards your places like that unless they have, like, they know what they're doing. Like, it wasn't
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I get all my P Diddy updates.
He's for 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Honestly, my favorite news source. He should write articles for Fox News.
Yeah, perfect.
They need some new demographics.
It might work. I don't know. We'll see.
He's not a white blonde woman, though.
Yeah.
Whatever. Change it up. It's 2024, Fox News. Hire 50 Cent.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no, because he never got actually arrested, right, P. Diddy?
No.
Which is bizarre.
Weird to me. Yeah, I feel like if you were going through the effort to raid somebody's house, you might...
Houses.
And
then they're all like, he's on the go, he's running, and then he was at a Topgolf in Miami.
Yeah, but that's just news. It's not like officials were saying he was running. It was just like, everybody's like, oh, he's running. But like, he wasn't.
So an interesting theory, Roger, and I heard was that, because I don't even know if this would technically go into the conspiracies of like the Illuminati. And now this is a conspiracy theorist podcast on top of an astrology podcast.
We do it all.
I got a lot of personalities, baby.
Cycling through.
Tripolar. Quadpolar.
Could be. Just quinpolar.
Quinpolar. Oh yeah, the theory was basically that so this actually can be brought from real life things. If you don't know about the Nexium, look it up. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but Keith Raniere had this cult called Nexium, and they would take like incriminating pictures of people. They would make people like say like their deepest, darkest secrets, think they've done wrong, this and that, if they cheated or not on video and stuff. So they had this to like hold over them. Probably much worse things. I think if this is what was going on in the P. Diddy situation, so the theory is that there are people around him that he is controlling, or someone above him is using him to control these people through their incriminating videos, pictures, whatever it may be. A lot of sexual allegations have come up, a lot of court cases in the past. Even you were talking about like the Tupac shooting and stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the theory is basically that some of these people went to the feds a while ago, and they've been kind of like building this case and then going to seize that information as protection while also taking down whatever. And like, I don't want to say anything wrong because I don't care enough to be an expert, but like the alleged like sex trafficking rings, how he was sexually assaulting minors, or just sexually assaulting people in general.
Yeah. Supposedly.
I think so.
It seems weird. There's a lot of, I mean, he's definitely lost in the court of public opinion.
One of our favorite podcasts is Theories of a Third Kind. And they're cool because they're very like, they don't bring in their own like political opinions or like religious, like anything. Like it's just facts. And at the end they do give like their own opinions, but it never feels like judgy or swayed.
I mean, they pretty openly tell you their own opinions at that point.
Yeah.
So you're not like, they're like.
So anyway, if you want to hear more about it, like they, honest to God, at the time their podcast came out, they had more information on this situation than any other journalist in the United States.
They had a lot, definitely. I was impressed.
They like backtrack on websites. They found articles on websites that were gone.
Yeah.
Like I love nerds. I mean, I married one. Like, I'm glad you guys exist. It's like Woody Harrelson in Zombieland when he's like, gotta love rednecks. Gotta love nerds, honestly.
The deep dives.
The deep dives, that's what it is. I don't know, between nerds and women, like, it's the CIA. I'm very good at finding out information.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's something else that's been happening throughout the eclipse, and we're all just waiting to see what's gonna come of the diddler.
The diddler.
Also,
it's fun to say.
I know, you said P Diddy. Like, you call yourself P Diddy. You didn't think anyone was gonna play on that?
Yeah, it is weird.
It is. Where'd Diddy come from?
Daddy.
Really?
It's Puff Daddy, and then it's P Diddy.
Oh. Was he originally? He was originally Puff Daddy. That's not a different person?
Nope, same person.
Okay, that was in the podcast they were talking about that.
Yes.
Oh, because when he was little, he used to like make puffing noises and huffing noises, so they would call him Puff.
Yeah.
Also, the Catholic school that he went to took him off of their website as like someone who used to go there. And if the Catholic Church doesn't want to open up to sexual allegations,
I don't know who will.
I don't know who will. All right. So yeah, my advice getting through this retrograde this month and maybe making the eclipse a little easier is just being easier on yourself, giving yourself more grace, being aware of who you're giving your energy to. If you need to cancel all your plans for your sanity, do it. I did it last month, and if I didn't, I don't know. I would have been a freaking nutcase.
Mm-hmm.
I've been running away in bare feet again. But yeah, don't make too many plans. Obligations, keep them to a minimum. I think our country in general has a problem with being selfish. The different way you think I'm going to take this. I think, and I've said this before to you, Roger, and I might have said this on the podcast, people need to be more selfish when it comes to themselves, which I guess is the whole point of
That's
selfish.
How it works, right?
Yeah, it's repetitive and redundant. But we're like, oh, don't be selfish. But like, so we don't go out of the way to even like regulate our own fucking nervous systems anymore because we think taking a bubble bath is selfish. Like we think like just sitting in the yard and breathing is selfish, but that's what we have to do to keep our sanity,
mm-hmm.
I think. And yeah, I'm talking to myself, but I think anyone can learn a little from that.
It's different than like eating all of the lunch so nobody else gets any.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, and it's
be a weird example, but
I get it though. Yeah, that's being selfish. Yeah.
Right.
Like if you order if you're like with 3 people and you order an appetizer and there's like 4 things in the appetizer and you eat 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's selfish.
Right.
Like maybe share a little and I don't know, order your own appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like yourself,
self-care.
Yeah, and boundaries, I think really is it.
Yeah.
And if people don't respect your boundaries, they don't respect you. So why are they in your lives? Now this is a self-help podcast. This has taken many twists and turns.
I know.
So is this day for me.
Yeah.
I woke up sobbing.
Hey, well, I mean, it can all go up from there, right?
From sobbing?
Yeah.
That's why I like
start every morning crying, and then you're good to go.
That's why I like doing the dishes in the morning, because I hate doing the dishes. So I'm like, if I do the dishes first thing in the morning, my day's just going up from here.
Perfect.
All right. So that ends my astrology portion of the podcast, and pretty much just the podcast today. Unless you have anything you want to talk about, Roger.
I don't think I do.
Do you want ice cream?
I do want ice cream.
Do you think it's still open?
We're gonna find out.
All right, guys.
We gotta have something.
We gotta go.
Go to Wendy's if we have to.
Oh, no. That doesn't do well with me. No. All right. Thank you for listening to this episode. Sorry if you had to listen to this episode. But I will see you next week. Bye.